Hi, I'm Rob the accountant. I like to help people build companies while finding solutions to problems that may come your way. Well, it's disappointing. I made a couple comments on this a few months ago when the WNBA, yes, the WNBA, 98% of the players voted to go on strike, authorize a strike. 98% of the players. And, it makes me wonder sometimes on, why greed always kills everything in America. At first I thought maybe it was, they're women or men, there's the differences there, but that's not really the issue. The issue is greed. It's just pure greed. First of all, if you go back and watch a couple of the games when Caitlyn came onto the stage, there was a lot of players that were very mean to her. Lots of fouls, lots of things called on her that other players did. There were a lot of things that were not fair. I think in the realm of hyper-competitive betting and gambling where we're at today, people don't want to put their money where, the policies or the politics of the sport or the lack of the politics of the sport define the outcome of that sport. And there was a lot of instances where Caitlyn was fouled, even though she was not the aggressor and did nothing wrong. But in terms of greed, 98% of them, and let me just give you a couple of their ideas, okay? Because you got to wonder sometimes who was advising these women. What lawyer, what group was out there? First, the WNBA it's never broken a profit. People like me don't understand how a business can stay there every day, have cash flow, but not have a profit. Generally, you have to have investors that are keeping your organization afloat when you are at a negative position, or like the rest of us small businesses, you run a lot of things on credit cards, and that costs a tremendous amount of money to do that. But the WNBA has never been profitable. They were not even profitable when Caitlyn got here. But one of their demands, which just shows a real level of ignorance, is they wanted a percentage of gross revenue. Yeah, gross revenue. I mean, I don't think there's a business in the world that doesn't want to keep all of its gross revenue. It would love to operate. I'm sure Walmart would love to operate without any of the costs associated with its sports, its stores, its employees, its supply chains. That would be wonderful if you could just say, man, all this stuff magically appears and we're going to make all the gross profit off the gross revenue. That's just not how it is. And it's just the idea that you would put forth such a silly application to say, hey, league owners, especially that league owners are basically the NBA owners and the NBA teams that fund the WNBA. Why don't you lose more money and then give us more money? And give us more money out of the money that you get before you deduct any operating expenses. Think about it. They wanted revenue before any operating expenses were deducted, before all their flights all over the country, before all their stadium rentals, before all the people that support the players, all the back office, all the security, everything that goes along with supporting professional sports league. And now, it's not going to be here for 2026. You say, well, why do you care, Rob? Why are you sad? Well, I'm sad because, I believe in this thing called America. And, sometimes we always run around about, oh, is this fair? Or that's not fair. Or this is fair. Or, why I don't get this. No, life's not fair. I hate that word. It's a dumb word. But what is equitable is that little girls have the opportunity to believe that they can grow up and they can participate in a similar professional league as men. I don't think that's a problem. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think that's what the current iteration of the WNBA is. I think it's a bunch of pompous women who are marginally good at their sport and think, they got a salary cap of $5 million. I mean, they're talking $5 million. I think they play, 18 to 30 games a year? $5 million. and the league can't stand on its own. And I just wonder about the greed, and so it's just sad. I know there'll be a new set of draft players coming out. I know that this will get resolved for 2027. But it's just it's disheartening. It's disheartening to people. And I'm sorry. I only know Caitlin because I know the other one, a few other players named Brittany. She got stuck in Russia, and we had to give up a drug dealer to get her back because she wanted to smoke pot in Russia. And again, I just think that's the overall entitlement that we have here, is that it's not just greed. It's because I'm this. I get a set of rules that I have to follow that nobody else has to follow. Or you all have to follow a set of rules that I don't have to follow because I'm important. And I think that's really in terms of America today, I think we need to just get away from all of this classification and categorization. It's just done. We're all Americans. We're all human beings. And it's a sad day when the WNBA actually will not exist in 2026. Not really because of any contract dispute, not because the NBA isn't funding it, not for any of those reasons. It's going to not exist for 2026 because 98% of its players wanted a piece of gross revenue on top of what they were already making, on top of all the perks of that sport. And I understand, I get it. I mean, you're not getting paid like the men, but you guys don't dunk like the men, okay? And you don't play like the men. And men, when they foul in a game, they get 6 opportunities to foul, and then they get pushed out of the game. There is a great deal of not fouling in the NBA, and I don't see that in the WNBA. But that's not my sport. I'm not the arbiter of that. What I'm just saying is just a sad day that greed in America killed the WNBA, and there's going to be a bunch of girls, young girls, America's girls, who are looking for their future and the ability to be something great. And they're not going to get to see that because their group of people, other women, in the category of the WNBA, decided money was the absolute above everything else. Not just being in front of all those people, not from the shows, not being on TV, not going places, not having fans. None of that mattered. All that mattered is we're not paid as much as men. Pay us more. Even though they went to court, by the way, they went to court. They lost the court battle because the court said that what they bring in revenue to what they got paid, they were actually getting overpaid if you compared what they got paid to the revenue they bring in, right? And that's a court, where there's facts, there's lawyers on both sides of the equation, and so they didn't like that. So you notice the court case just went out the door, and we don't hear about it anymore. But again, 98% of the players decided to vote to authorize a strike because they wanted a percentage of gross revenue, and they all thought they were worth $5 million a season. I just think sometimes you just need to be a little bit grateful when you have the opportunity to have a little bit more than other people. And I think that gets lost on a lot of people in America. You don't have to go very far. You can go into a Walmart or Target or Dollar General to see that they're suffering in America. And when you're out there making millions of dollars and still finding a way to be angry and still finding a way to shoot yourself in the foot with your own career because you need more that you don't produce, is just the sad state of America that we're in. I feel bad. I'm sorry. I hope maybe there's still some possibilities, but I just don't see all of the WNBA players turning around, capitulating now. They're all angry. They're going to be more angry when they don't play all year. And what they have to remember is that everybody in America is replaceable. I'm Rob. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye for now.